Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Cristina Schaefer, Social Media Manager for HAR. I'm joined this morning by Chance Brown. Chance, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for joining us. Chance is one of our board of directors, and he's joining us this morning to tell us about his history as a secret agent.
That's right.
As you put it. And what has happened since he decided to stop being a secret agent.
There you go.
Yeah. So if you're tuning in and you think you might be a secret agent, go ahead and like this post, share it also with your audience, especially if you are a broker or a team leader, because this is something that your agents also want to hear. So go ahead and share this post as well. So let's get right into it, Chance. Again, thank you so much for being here with us. If we could start out, just to introduce yourself to our members.
Sure, and thank you for having me this morning. This is really cool. I've never done the whole podcast thing before, so it's exciting. So my name is Chance Brown. I'm the broker owner for CB&A Realtors. I've been in the real estate industry for a little over 16 years. A large chunk of that not really involved in things. And so, you know, kind of getting into my history as a secret agent, I started out, and the last thing on earth that I wanted to do, or so I thought, was hang out in a room full of realtors.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm a realtor, what the heck do I want to hang out with a bunch of realtors? And you know, they're not going to buy a house from me.
Right.
They're not going to list a house with me. It just seemed like an enormous waste of time. And one day I was on a coaching call with my coach at the time, and he asked me specifically, "What are you doing in the industry?" And I said, "Selling homes." And I really had no idea what he was talking about.
Right.
And so we kind of got to talking about it, and he's like, no, right now you're being a secret agent. And I was like, not really. I tell everybody that I'm an agent, just not any other realtors, because, you know, I'm selling homes, not hanging out with realtors at happy hours and things like that. And that was kind of my misconception
Yeah, it seemed
about
like a waste of time.
It really did.
Right.
And I've been to some networking events and things like that, and it just seemed like, okay, this is happy hour with people who aren't going to buy homes from me. And so, you know, we started talking about it, and he's like, no. He goes, you ever heard the old proverb in the Bible of iron sharpens iron? And maybe you get around people who do good business and do good work in the industry, and you learn from them, and you have the opportunity to share your talents with the industry as well. And so just totally on a whim, I put in a request to be on Management Central. Really had no idea what it was, but it said for brokers. So I was like, hey, I'm a broker. I will do that. And sure enough, I got picked. And now 7 years later, I'm fortunate to be on the board of directors for HAR. I've been on the board for TAR and NAR. I've been a TREPAC trustee. In 2017, I was Realtor of the Year for Houston. And so it's really led to a lot of opportunities. But the number one thing really has been the opportunity to be around a great group of professionals and learn from them.
That's great.
So.
Thank you so much. And of course, thank you for your involvement with
Yeah.
HAR. So tell us about that. You said you first got involved with HAR through the Management Central Advisory Group.
I did.
What led you to even fill out that application, really? And what was your first experience getting involved with that advisory group?
So kind of funny. I literally went down the list of all the advisory groups, and Management Central was one for brokers. And so I was
you
like,
just felt
okay,
like that was the best
I'm a
spot for
broker,
you.
so let's try it and see what happens.
Okay.
And it was really just a crapshoot, to be honest. I had no clue what I was doing. And so I got accepted, and I walk into HAR, and I'm like, all right. And it may honestly have been the very first time that I'd ever been in this building, was when I came for my first Management Central meeting.
Right.
And I walk into the room, and it's all of these people that I've kind of seen from afar running these great big companies, and it's just, you know, me as a solo broker at the time, all by myself, and I'm like, okay, well, one of these things is not like the other, and it was me. But that was really kind of the beauty of that advisory group, was that you had the perspective of small independent brokers all the way up through the big franchise groups. You had compliance officers. You had all these different people. And now, as compared to then, you have team leaders and things like that are part of that group. And so you get this wide range of views of what's going on in the industry. And so that was really the great part of it. And so where I initially felt really out of place, that went away very fast.
That's great. Okay, so currently, what advisory groups, I know you mentioned you're on the board of directors
Yep.
for HAR. In what other ways are you currently involved with HAR?
So right now I'm on the MLS advisory group, which I love. It's super nerdy, and I'm a giant nerd, so it's great. Lots of numbers and statistics and things like that. So I really enjoy it. Plus, it really is, where the rubber meets the road for a lot of our members. A lot of our members, the only time they go on HAR.com is to log into Matrix.
To access Matrix, yeah.
Right? And so we need to make sure that product is the best product for those members.
Absolutely.
And that's where that advisory group comes into play. And so I really enjoy that because, it's immediately impactful for the membership.
Okay, very good. So I do want to go through, because we have a lot of different advisory groups
Yes.
that you could potentially be a part of, and that's specifically why I asked you to come on, because I did a little bit of internet research,
I've been on a
aka
few.
stalking
Stalker.
on you. And for those that are just listening and not watching, you can't see this, but this is a long list of how Chance has been involved with HAR since 2013.
Yeah.
21 advisory groups.
Yeah.
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 He definitely has.
I took my coach's advice and he
You-
got involved.
You are no longer a secret agent.
Right,
We
no,
know who you
no,
are.
I'm not, yeah.
Yeah, so because you've been a part of so many different advisory groups, we thought it would be great to have you on just to kind of explain what these different advisory groups do. One thing that we hear so much from our members is that HAR is continually making changes without seeking the membership's advice or approval. But I think that, as being a part of these advisory groups and the board of directors, that's just simply not true.
No.
But I think it's because our members don't necessarily know what's going on.
Right.
So
Right.
let's talk about that. If we, and I see you have them printed out here, if you could just
Yeah.
kind of go through some of what is available for our members to get involved with.
So as I look through this list, it kind of falls into some groups. There's, the technology groups, there's the political groups, and then there's kind of the operational groups, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so just kind of jumping in on the political side of things.
Mm-hmm.
So, one of the great things, and I wish that we, as a membership, we're always taught when we're young not to talk about religion and politics. I really wish that as a group, our membership would talk more about politics with their clients, because when it comes to advocacy for private property rights, there is no other person that stands up for the consumer like the Realtor.
Right.
Like, we are the only group that is out there doing that. And so it really is an enormous part of what we do as an association is political advocacy.
Right.
And so you have several groups there for that. You have, in a nutshell, you have the Tree Pack Advisory Group, which is really a fundraising group. And phenomenal, we were the very first and still the only organization, local association in the country that has raised $1 million in a year. And we've done that now for 3 straight years, which is awesome. So we have a big influence, a big impact on the elected officials that are endorsed. Those endorsements come from the PALs and the PAG, which is the Political Affairs Advisory Leadership Groups, which are kind of we have one in the Bay Area, we have one in Fort Bend County, we have one in Montgomery County, and then the PAG is centralized.
Okay.
And so those groups, you can remember PAG, that starts with a P, is for people. Right? Or politicians, or however you want to say it. But they're going through and they're interviewing candidates. They're getting to know the people on the ground and making the recommendation for endorsement to the board of directors. And then you have the GAG, which is the Governmental Affairs Advisory Group, and the GAG is issues based.
Okay.
So it's talking about the things that are going on in the legislature, at city council, sign ordinances, school district issues, all the way up to national issues that affect private property rights, affect the ability for people to go out and own a home, and the realtor way of life.
Very good.
So-
So when we see that HAR has put out a recommended, way to vote on a proposition, for example, that would be the Governmental Affairs
That's
Advisory
it.
Group. If we see a candidate, that's the Political Affairs Advisory Group.
Or the PALs.
Yes, or the PALs, which is also really great because, as we know, Houston and our membership is so spread out. It's
Right.
great that we have people in the area, Bay Area, Fort Bend, et cetera, that are living there, working there, that can get involved.
Yeah, and even if you're not in a PALs group or a PAG group, and there's something that you feel like the association needs to know, we invite that input, because without that member involvement, we don't know where to go look.
Right. Okay. So what else do we
there's
have?
the political side. So going on to like the technology side. So you have the information advisory group. So you said that a lot of the members don't feel like they get their voice heard. The information advisory group is where we take the stuff that the members tell us and actually put it into action.
Okay.
And so that's literally coming directly off feedback and making sure that the products, making sure that the member benefits, things like that are being done the way that the members want it.
Right, and that one's specifically for commercial. So if you are a commercial agent or broker, that's really the great place for you.
Right. On the flip side, on the residential, we have the technology advisory group, which is very similar, and that's where Taki and his group come down and they show us all the amazing things that they're working on and get feedback from the members. And so awesome group. MLS, I kind of already talked about. We're the
Sure.
ones who go in and just try to perfect the MLS product.
Right.
And take things like, we've got this clear cooperation policy that just passed in San Francisco with NAR Board of Directors.
Sure.
How is that going to affect how the member uses the MLS?
Okay.
And the short answer is we're not 100% sure yet because it was literally a week ago.
Right.
But it's something that we're working on and making sure that it's a smooth transition once that implementation happens for our members.
Now, are you the ones that issue the fines?
We're not the ones that issue the fines, but we are involved. There is a subgroup of the MLS advisory group that does look at every fine.
Right, but your involvement in that also has to do with just understanding the rules, making rules that make
Yes.
sense for the members.
Absolutely.
And can you just really quickly give us just why do we have MLS rules?
Number one, primary above all things, especially when you look at clear cooperation, when you look at any of the rules, is we want to make sure that we're protecting the consumer, right? Article 1 of the code is we have to act with the consumer's interest in mind, not ours.
Right.
And so that's always going to be primary amongst everything else.
Okay.
And so we want to make sure that, we are of the belief that there is no better way for a consumer to market their home than the MLS. We believe that having access to the competition of the free market, which is the MLS, is what gives the consumer the full spectrum of the benefits of being able to market their home to as many people as possible. We happen to be very fortunate in Houston that we also have HAR.com to help with that.
Right.
Because everybody knows that brand and everybody wants their home marketed on HAR.com.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the big part, is we're going to look at that, but then we're also going to look at what promotes fairness in competition, what makes sure that realtor compensation is protected. There's a number of different things that go into those rules, but at the end of the day, we want everybody to be treated fairly and
Right.
honestly, from the consumer to the agent.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
What else?
Okay, so we talked about information, we talked about technology, we just talked about MLS. Now for operational stuff, which, is kind of like the unsexy part of being involved in the association, but really, really important, because if it wasn't for that, all the boring stuff that makes the world turn round wouldn't happen. So you have Management Central, which we kind of talked about a little earlier,
Right.
which is all the brokers, team leaders, there's compliance people, there's managers for different offices in there, and it's really how can we better educate and inform the brokers, whether it's a single broker or a major franchise broker, of what's going on in the industry, what's going on at the association, and can we help provide training to make their jobs easier,
Great.
right? So you look at like the Realtor launch product. That's an amazing training program for new agents, and that's where that sprung from, was that group. And then probably the absolute least sexy of the groups, and maybe the most important, is risk management.
Right.
So risk management is super, super important to make sure that compliance issues are being looked at, to make sure that errors and omissions, things, lawsuits, all of that stuff, and our members, the association's doing what it can to help our members mitigate risk.
Very good.
So not fun at all, but that group of people is dedicated to making 37,000 people's lives a lot easier.
Right.
Right?
But for those members, I bet it's fun.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. For the nerds in the group, yes, absolutely. We have fun with that.
And that's kind of what I've said to people in the past. If there's anything you're passionate about, there's an advisory group for you.
Truthfully, yeah, absolutely. And then last but certainly not least, are two of my favorites, HAR Engage, which we just had. What was that, last month?
Yes.
lose track of time. But yes,
Yes.
last month we just had an HR engagement. So if you've never been, you should make plans to go in 2020. One-day conference. Some of the best speakers from around the country come in, and so that group plans that. And then our YPN group, which honestly I think is unlike any other YPN group in the country, because HAR has always had a very forward-thinking mentality compared to a lot of associations out there in getting their younger members involved in leadership roles. I don't know that there is another local board in the country who the HAR chair actually becomes an NAR director on behalf of that board, which is a huge deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And so if you're under 40 and you are thinking about getting into leadership, the HAR YPN group is an amazing place to get started there.
Very good.
Yeah.
And I think there's one we may have missed,
Uh-oh.
professional development.
Oh, professional development. Yeah, back to the operations. Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, which I should know because I'm both on that one and as an instructor. Professional development, that's where we come up with training. We look at what's going on in the industry. We look at what exists and how can we make it better. And we look at, are there tools that members need? Are there technologies that members need training on and help with? And how can we deliver that?
Very good.
So,
Excellent.
yeah.
All
So
right.
there's your
Yeah, thank you
advisory
for-
groups in a nutshell.
Yeah, thank you for going through that. I just want to take a look at what our members are saying this morning. A lot of people telling you good morning and happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Yes. Claudia said being a part of the advisory groups has been great, from learning to the people you meet. One of the reasons why I chose to work with Chance is his involvement at HAR. So very good. Lots
Yeah,
of
it
good
really
morning.
is. The amazing thing about this is there's not a time when I am in a room like an advisory group room, and in a room at a conference, state conference, national conference, whatever that is, where you don't pick something up that you can take and put back into your business.
Right.
And so, I think it's really, really important to, if I could go back and say thank you to my coach from so many years ago, I would. It was probably some of the best coaching advice that I've gotten was get involved with other realtors
Very good.
and picking the right ones.
Yeah. So if you have any questions for Chance, I have a few more questions for you, but if you have any questions for Chance, go ahead and type them into the comments and we'll get to those in just a little bit. So what would you recommend to a realtor that's wanting to get involved?
Get involved. So number one, apply for an advisory group.
Okay.
So a couple of things that you need to do, har.com/get involved.
Yeah.
Keep in mind that don't just randomly go through there. Pick your top 3 and then rank them and apply in that order.
Okay.
Right? So for most of the advisory groups, you have 25 to 30 people that are going to sit on those advisory groups. And you'll, as a chair, because I've chaired a few of these, you'll get 50 to 100 applications. And so you have to go through and look at who's going to be there. So one of the things that you have to do is look at what rank did they put your advisory group in. And so the one that you really want to be on the most, make sure you rank number 1.
Okay.
Put a thoughtful, good description of why you want to be on there. There's a space for that in that application. If you know it's a competitive one, don't be afraid to reach out to the chair.
Okay.
It's not unusual that the chair will get some emails saying, hey, I really want to be on your group. And that matters.
Okay.
If we get down to 2-3 spots open and I've had somebody who has actively reached out to me to say, I really want to be part of this group, that's going to go a long way in making sure they get on that group.
Okay.
But outside of all of these things that we've talked about, there are other ways to get involved in the association. There's all the affiliate groups. So there's things like NAREP and NAREB and ARIA, Women's Council, all of those things that you can get involved in and start making a name for yourself.
Okay.
There are the HAR networking groups that have breakfast or lunch all around the city. Start going to those and getting to know people, getting to know the right people, and make sure that you've got your name out there. That way, if you don't get in this year, you have a better chance getting in next year.
Okay. So we're telling people, stop being a secret agent, right?
Right.
You are no longer a secret agent.
No.
I would venture to guess when you go to these networking groups, when you go to these mixers, people know who you are now, correct?
For the most part, yes.
You can humble brag, it's okay. People know who you are. So how is that, yes, they know who you are, but how has that actually affected your business? Because I think that's what our members really want to know is, if I go and devote my time to volunteer or get involved, how is that really going to affect my business?
Well, I think there's a couple of different ways. There's
Okay.
the formal things you're going to learn as being part of an advisory group, and then there's the informal piece. So on the formal side, sitting in an MLS room, I get, firsthand view of what's going on in the industry and how, like I said earlier, the rubber meets the road on how are these things going to affect the member as they do what they do, right? In professional development, where are the weak spots in the training and education of our agents, and how can we get better at that? And you're sitting in a room with people who have brilliant ideas, truly things that, I spend most of my time in the suburbs. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I'm an expert on condos or high rises, but sitting in the MLS room, there are people who are. And so I get to learn a whole different part of the business that maybe I'm not the most familiar with. Maybe this side of town needs training on this, but this side of town deals with it all the time. On the north side of town, you may not need as much information about flooding as the south side of town that's near the water, right? Things like that. And so that's the formal part. The informal part is just hanging out with other realtors that are good, that are involved, that care. You learn a lot. And you have resources now. So if you have a question, pick up the phone and call.
And I would imagine also referrals, since a lot of people
Sure,
are on
and then there's that.
the other side of town.
Absolutely,
all that stuff.
absolutely.
Very good. Lupe asked, what advice can you give realtors as the best marketing advice? Do you have any marketing advice for our members?
For their business?
I would imagine so.
I think, you just need to be present. I am a believer in the CRM. I'm a believer that if you're not using a CRM, you're not really in this business, because it takes care of so much of your marketing for you. It automates so many things in the business that agents need to be doing. I don't have my phone with me, but I often joke when I'm in a class when I'll hold up my phone and I'm like, this does things other than just check Facebook. You can make phone calls and talk to people. And I think really, if we did a better job of that, again, going back to it's not the sexy stuff that wins the day. It's the repeated daily disciplines over time that build up to success. And a big part of that is just the basic prospecting that comes with a CRM.
Okay, very good. I want to backtrack just a little bit because you said this all really stemmed from a coach.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a lot of questions from our members about coaching systems, what's available. Can you kind of explain to us, because I know that you're pretty well versed in that. Can you explain to us what types of coaching systems are there? How do we pick a coach?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
So, number one, I'm a believer that everybody should have a coach.
Yeah.
If you look at the most elite performers in every field, they have coaches.
That's true.
Whether it's Tom Brady or Bill Gates, they all have coaches. They all have mentors, people that they look to. And so I'm a big believer in coaching. It is an investment for the average realtor to do that. It can be, depending on the type of program you really want, it can be multiple thousands of dollars a month, or it can be group accountability stuff that's relatively affordable, in the less than $100 a month. The big two things for me on coaching, I like worldview stuff. Again, one of the reasons why I like being involved here. I get to see stuff and I get to see best practices, and I am not in any way, shape, or form above stealing other people's stuff and taking credit for it when it works. Right? Now, if it doesn't work, it's totally their fault. But I get to see what other people are doing around the country. I get to see what other people have experienced with this, with that, with whatever it is. In our industry, it's very easy to feel like you're on an island sometime. And so just knowing that there are other people out there who are dealing with clients who are just crazy. Just having that experience, knowing that you're not the only one dealing with low appraisals, whatever that is.
A little bit of validation.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. And then the second part of it is accountability. And I think that's really where most of our agents fail, and that's human nature. It's why, you have a workout buddy or you hire a trainer at the gym or something like that, is that piece of accountability. And the coach brings that. They're going to force you to use these systems, and they're going to kind of force you to make progress. And so as far as finding what's right for you, pick up the phone and call. Start talking to a bunch of different ones. There's a ton of them out there, and just you'll feel which one is right for you. I mean,
Okay. We had a follow-up question from Lupe. She just asked, what is a CRM? So if you could just define what a...
Yeah, so it's a client relationship management software. So you have, from Top Producer to LionDesk, Boomtown, Sync. I mean, there's a million of them out there. It's kind of the old adage that if you want to get rich in real estate, find something you can sell to realtors. And so if you Google real estate CRM, you're going to get a zillion choices.
Right.
From incredibly complex, something that a big team would use that's getting multiple lead sources coming in, that kind of thing, to very, very simplified.
Right.
I tend to err on the side of simple. I'm kind of a set it and forget it type of person. But there's a right solution for everybody. The right CRM is the one that you actually use. And so, all of them have 30-day trials. All of them have great customer service. Just, again, pick up the phone and find the one that's right for you and then go use it.
Okay. Melissa just said, in our office, when management says not to be a secret agent, they mean do all the things you need to do to tell people you're an agent. She's just curious from you how you tell people you're an agent and what you do to get business.
I mean, I hate to beat the dead horse, but the CRM is really the big piece of it. I let that do a lot of the automated stuff. I'm not a hammer people over the head on social media. I don't particularly care for that. I kind of like more the subtle use of social media in business, like checking in here 30 minutes before Member Focus Monday started with a picture of the setup and everything.
Right.
I like that kind of
Subtle
marketing.
social media.
Exactly. Not, whoever your friend is that's selling Rodan and Fields or Tupperware or whatever it is, and they just hammer you over the head with it every day. I like it just a little more subtle. So.
Okay. Yeah, very good. And I think that's just personal choice for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's what's working for you.
But yeah, I mean, we've got agents that are out there doing great things like this, like these podcasts. We've got agents out there who are doing blogs that are fantastic. So there's a million different ways. Just pick one and stick to it is really the key.
Very good. And consistency, I would imagine.
Consistency, yeah.
Very good. Okay,
Daily
so
disciplines.
you told us how we can get involved. You gave us the website, which we'll put up on the screen as well. So what if I apply for an advisory group and I don't get selected?
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. You don't have to always get what you want. I would say get involved in other ways. Start going to those breakfasts. Start getting involved with a WCR or a group that's particularly something you have a passion for, and try again next year once you kind of get your name built.
And I think it's also, just like you said, good advice to apply for more than one. Just,
Absolutely.
There are
you get
some
3 choices. So
that you said, or as you described, as the sexier ones, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you apply for one of those sexy ones, then
Yeah.
maybe also apply for one of the non-sexy ones.
Right. So like MLS, for instance, right? So I don't know how many applications they get for MLS, but I can guarantee you it's a ton of them.
They get a lot,
Yeah. Where, risk management or management central might have 25 spots open and get 35 applicants. MLS might get 100.
Right.
And so there are things like that I would definitely just pick the things that mean something to you, not just something to get your name on a list.
Yeah.
My phone has never rung because I'm involved in a committee at HAR. Right? My phone has rung because being involved in a committee at HAR has made me an expert in my field.
Very good.
So.
Ashley, I think this is more of a comment than a question, but it's pretty funny. It said, would you say that it isn't subtle to post just sold pics?
I don't know.
Yeah. You want to tell people you're busy,
absolutely.
but everybody picks a different way to do it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, I think just sold is fine.
Yeah.
There's no reason not to celebrate. Exactly. There's no reason not to celebrate the fact that you did what your client wanted you to do, and hopefully did it well. So.
And a lot of times, if you're doing it right, your client's probably posting it themselves and tagging you in it.
Absolutely. Hopefully.
Even better, speaking for you.
Yep.
Well, great, Chance. This has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing all this with us. All right. Well, that is all we have for this Member Focus Monday. Next week is the week of Thanksgiving, and the following week will be off as well. So we will be back December 9th with 2019 Realtor of the Year, Mike Wong. Yes.
Awesome dude.
Yes, he's going to be coming on to talk to us about commercial real estate. So save the date, December 9th, 9 a.m. We'll see you then. Have a great week. Bye-bye.